Today we are oddly enough not doing Borderlands, but looking at another Gearbox IP, Battleborn, which I'm pretty excited about. In case you guys watching are not aware of Battleborn, it is the newest IP from Gearbox that is going to come out sometime this winter, so not too far away. It is both PvP and co-op or even single-player campaign mode. There's MOBA aspects to it, and it's another first-person shooter by Gearbox, and that's why I'm excited about it. Gearbox has kind of changed the way first-person shooters work, at least for me, and I love what they do with them. This game isn't about the loot. This game is about characters, and this is the first character I'm going to look at. Just kind of going to go in order of all the characters. But I'm okay with it not being a game about loot and being a game about characters, because skill trees and action skills is a big part of why I like Borderlands, as well as just the combat of it. The game to me is a lot more than just about the gear. And I always thought it would be cool to kind of see a Borderlands PvP, and Battleborn is kind of given that to us to an extent. It's a different way. It's not Borderlands, but it's still a Gearbox first-person shooter with skill trees. And there is going to be some kind of gear, but they've been quiet about that. So, anyways, Boldur is our first character, who is a short, dwarven, axe-wielding guy with a massive shield. Most of the characters in this game, like Borderlands, there's going to be a lot of that, have kind of like an energy shield or whatever, but the Eldrid, as you can see Boldur is, as I point to it with my mouse here. The Eldrid are kind of your nature folk, the hippies they have been called. They don't actually get those. They generally have health regeneration, higher health. They can pick up like, what was it? I think they're called overshields. What I've seen is kind of like ammo or health vials on the ground, like in Borderlands. You pick it up and you just get some extra shield. They can pick those up, but they don't naturally have like an energy shield. Boldur, however, has the shield you can see in his hand over here, and he raises that. So in most shooters, or at least a lot of them, you kind of have left mouse click to fire, right mouse click to ADS. This game is a little different. So with Boldur, left click with your mouse or right trigger will swing his axe. Right click or left trigger will actually raise his shield, as far as I know. Other characters have different attacks, left and right click. Why is my mouse doing that? This is a little distracting, but whatever. So Boldur is, like I said, he's an Eldrid. He's our dwarf. He can both swing and throw his axe. He's got his shield. He's slow but very tanky, and he's got some explosive bonuses. So Krieg and Brick players, kind of looking at you here. Just an absolute tank of a melee character. I'm assuming Spunky may have fun with this guy if he chooses to play this game. You got the little bio here that Boldur the Unbearable is a stubborn, axe-wielding native of Ekkunar who has survived the last 2 millennia of interruptions to his quiet forest life through sheer stubbornness and the aid of the civilian militia he leads called the Woodsmen. Tough as gnarled root, the Ekkuni dwarf carry only his rune-forged axe and shield into battle against any foe who dares land their dropship in his front yard. So yeah, just very anti-technology the Eldrid are, which is going to really separate him from some of the other people you see. Here, I don't really like how they did this on the website, but whatever. He's got they've each got kind of 6 things listed. So the first one here you see for every character is their main basic attack, which is his runic axe. Boldur deals a slow, powerful melee strikes with his runic axe. When he throws the axe, Boldur falls back to hand-to-hand combat to take enemies down. Now, throwing the axe, they mentioned that, but it's not part of his main attack. That's the axe toss over here, which will be on a cooldown. Ekkunar Great Shield. So this slot here is always kind of a passive ability. Though he lacks an energy shield, like I was talking about, Boldur is an elite defender utilizing the Eldrid Great Shield to block incoming damage and rapid health regeneration to stay in the fight. Now we go to his main two cooldown attacks, and I'm not sure if both of these are available at level 1 or if you get them kind of in the first couple levels. But they're available very early. Boldur leaps forward, Boldur dash, I should say. Boldur leaps forward, dealing 141 to 213 damage, and knocks back enemies. Rune power, which is his ultimate ability, we'll get to on the arrow over. When he dash, he causes an explosion on contact, dealing up to 534 damage. Now, I'm also going to say all these numbers are subject to change. They're doing a lot of balancing, but it kind of gives you an idea when you compare them to how much they're doing. So that rune power explosion is quite a bit. Axe toss. Throws Boldur's axe through multiple enemies, dealing 208 to 280 damage to each enemy. Rune power, axe explodes on impact, dealing up to 520 to 700 damage to nearby enemies. So on both of those, there's kind of an AoE around it. So once again, kind of like Krieg's dynamite axe and blood explosion kind of likeness. So definitely can, in the Boldur dash, kind of like brick dashing towards enemies. Not quite the zero execution I'm imagining. This is a slower kind of hurl. Then you go over here, Runes of Power. So this is his ultimate ability. Also on a cooldown, much like your action skills in Borderlands 2. Increases axe damage when meleeing, or health regeneration when blocking damage while shielding. If you use axe toss or Boldur dash, it consumes the magic. So, from what I can tell, Runes of Power stays active until you either throw your axe or Boldur dash. And the cooldown restores while it's active, so you can activate it while it's active. I don't think it stacks. I think it just takes over. We'll see with that, but you can hold it until your cooldown's done and then throw your axe. And then Rage, which is a kill skill. Killing enemies causes Boldur to melee faster for a short time. Not moves faster. I thought that for a second. Just swing his axe faster, but that will increase your DPS, especially when Runes is active, because you get extra melee damage. So the helix tree is here. So every level, you start over completely, even in campaign. Every new map, you start off at level 1. Every PvP match, you start off at level 1. You quickly go through. And they said they did that intentionally, so you're not doing that thing of I'm going to spend hundreds of hours to get my character to that max level and invest this. Even through the story mode, I can switch characters each map. In certain maps, you're going to want to maybe play different characters or even spec that character differently depending on the terrain and the way the map flows. So they want it to flow more like that. And I think that's an interesting idea. And we'll see how it actually plays when the game comes out. So every level, you have a choice of one or two options. Or a choice of two options every single level. So it's a really easy thing to use your points. You level up, quick go on your menu, spend that point, move on. And since you only have one of two options at each level, it's very quick and easy to do so without looking through an entire skill tree. So tier 1, you have Axe Return or Over Boldur Dash. Once again, I'm going to love these names. The Gearbox comedy is still here. Axe Return, if you miss an enemy with your axe, the axe immediately comes back to his hand, much like Thor and his hammer, which is pretty awesome. Or you can go with Over Boldur Dash. Using Boldur Dash generates an overshield on Boldur for a brief period. you get plus 225 overshield. I don't know what that number really means at this point, 'cause although you have these bars at the top, they don't yet equate to numbers, so we'll see how much that is. But right here, you already see kind of tier 1 DPS for survival. So tier 2, activating Boldur Dash immediately activates Rage, so you can get your kill skill without a kill, and that's very good, especially because you plunder in there, knock a bunch of enemies down, and now you can kill them faster. And once you kill that first one, you're going to have Rage. In Borderlands 2, kill skills were 7 seconds. I don't know what they're going to be in this game. I almost wanted to say we could assume it's going to be about the same time, but that's not a safe bet. So, gather no moss. Boldur continues to dash forward after hitting an enemy with Boldur Dash, allowing him to hit multiple enemies. Enemies are now knocked up instead of knocked back. This just sounds insanely fun. You just kind of use them as a bowling ball and just roll them through a bunch of enemies and knock them all up, and then everyone else can shoot them down while they're falling from the air. It sounds incredibly interesting. I don't know how good it's going to be and compared to how much you're going to have the enemies grouped up to really take advantage of it, but we'll see. It just sounds really awesome. Deft Defense on Tier 3 now. Increases the speed at which Boldur raises his shield to block incoming damage. That's why I think right click or left trigger is going to raise his shield. Maybe he'll do it automatically, but I got a feeling it's going to be right click or left trigger. And I kind of like that in a little bit of a ways. I think that's going to add depth to his gameplay. And that sounds like a very good skill if that's what it is, depending on how fast his shield comes up. The other choice would be Stunning Blows. When he is unarmed, his primary melee attacks slow enemies. That can be definitely very helpful. Let them hit you less while you're in close combat and take them out, because your hits will be doing less with your fist than they do with your axe. Tier 4. Enemies hit with axe toss suffer bleed damage for 48 seconds over 4 seconds. So if you compare that to some of the damage when you're altering it, axe toss 208. So now you are adding. Oh hell, that's really good. Yeah, that's almost potentially doubling your damage with the bleed. So if you want to toss that axe and kind of let them die and focus on another enemy, doesn't sound like a bad idea. Or you have Head Splitter, where enemies hit with the axe toss are stunned, and that might be a little better. There's a lot of stunning and blinding and slowing of enemies in this game, but when you throw his axe, it sounds like you have to go pick it up, or it comes back to you after time if you hit an enemy. So if you stun that enemy, you can throw the axe at him, pick up your axe, and then smack him again with it and kill him. We'll see which one turns out better. A lot of these things are just too early to tell. Damages are going to change. It might be better on a different map than one another. Hopefully they balance this right, where it's like, it's not like this skill is always better than that skill. There might be some combos that work out better as you go down, but yeah, it's not meant to be kind of like some of those Borderlands 2 skill trees that there's always that definite skill to take, and others weren't as good. Tier 5, Rage Speed. When Rage is active, Boldur's movement speed is increased plus 30% movement speed. I think that sounds really good. He is slow, so that's going to be one where it sounds really awesome. But on the other side, Berserker Rage. When Rage is active, Boldur's health regeneration increases plus 7 health regeneration per second. Again, without knowing the numbers of his overall health, you don't know how good that is, but he already has natural health regen, so that on top of it sounds pretty good. But this might be one of those tiers where I would pick the movement speed quite often. And it also sounds like Rage is going to be active pretty often. course, you don't. Well, no, yeah, rage you should have from the start. But especially if you have, where was that? Yeah, a Geas of Anger there, where you can just activate that every time you use that skill. So tier 6 increases axe toss damage plus 15%, or increase boulder dash damage plus 15%. There's one of just a choice. Which one are you using more? Maybe some maps have less enemies, but they're bigger badass enemies, where the axe toss would be better. Maybe some have more crowded enemies, where the boulder dash would work better. Dealing with crowds, maybe just prefer one or the other. Wild Blood increases the damage of all of Boulder's melee attacks, plus 18% damage, but once again that can change. Sounds good. Or Boulder's health regeneration rate is increased plus 7%, or plus 7 health regen per second again. So, oh, something in my throat. Hold on. Yeah, so once again, damage versus survival. Now, maybe on some of these you take DPS skills, on other tiers you take tank skills, kind of balance it out. Maybe just go all tank, maybe you go all damage. We're gonna see once the game comes out how this all works, and they're gonna be hot patching it as they go. So here's another kind of good trade-off. You can increase the distance of Boulder Dash or reduce the cooldown. And once again, we don't know the distance of it, we don't know the cooldown. But if you get that skill, the Geas of whatever I did earlier, where whenever you do that, that activates Rage, and then with Rage you get more movement speed, or more health regen with that going on. I kind of like the cooldown here, but once again, haven't played the game. Next one, Axe Toss cooldown, which, again, cooldown, great. Or killing an enemy with Axe Toss grants Boulder additional maximum health. Health bonuses reset on death, plus 50 max health per stack. So with this, you can increase his health 250, which sounds pretty good for a tanky character without a shield who's all health. I'm thinking Rough Rider here. And, obviously raising a shield, he gets massive damage reduction, I'm assuming. So this sounds pretty good. I kind of actually like Death and Axes better. It doesn't sound like it'd be too hard to get 5 kills with the Axe Toss. And if you can stay alive and keep those. But his health regen is all flat from what I can tell. It's not percentage based, which doesn't go as well with that kind of stuff. But this isn't Borderlands 2, so there's not going to be like the health gating attacks and stuff like that. At least I assume not. But this is one of those tiers I really like, that Death and Taxes for this. Death and Axes for him. And lastly here we have Runes of Rage. And this tier 10, I believe, is when you get your ultimate skill unlocked. So while Runes of Power is active, striking an enemy with Boulder's melee attack immediately activates Rage. I like that quite a bit. Yeah, because if you have Rage active, you melee faster, but you can also go down here and move faster. And since Runes of Power just stays active until you throw your axe or whatever, or a Boulder Dash, that just sounds like a great combo to me. You don't really worry about using Boulder Dash and Axe Toss. You just get super powerful. Because with Axe Tomater as well. Oh no, that's Axe Toss damage. There's one that I thought just gave him overall, yeah, melee attacks. So if you have Wild Blood, Rage Speed, and this you could probably just run around without using your abilities, let Runes of Power cool down, and once it's ready to activate again, then you throw your axe or boulder dash, and then you get that big rune power bonus with it. Then you just activate Runes of Power again, and you have this combat loop. I don't know if it's going to work out like that, but that's how I kind of see it working on that side, and I like that. It's almost a little Krieg Release the Beastish. Not quite the same, but it's kind of like that permanent action skill. Runic Replenishment. Activating Runes of Power a second time when it is still active immediately replenishes Boulder's health. That's also a little Krieg Release the Beastish. Again, not quite, but kind of similar. And for a tanky character, that sounds good too. So all over, you're kind of making survival versus DPS ones. So I kind of like that setup of trying to go with the Runes of Rage for that crazy melee, and then do like Death and Taxes. That one I couldn't go survival. That one I couldn't go survival. That one I wouldn't. So maybe I'm looking at more damage. Maybe Head Splitter there. That stun with that explosion might work. I would definitely go Def Defense here, because with the Runes of Power, when you raise your shield, you also regen health. So that would be a good one to get for that. Geas of Anger. Well, he'd pretty much always have Rage open anyways, so maybe Gather No Moss would work there. And maybe on this one, over Boulder Dash would actually work. And using Boulder Dash might be my main thing, so who knows how it's going to actually work. But I like the options with him. I think he looks interesting as a character. And if you've already looked at all the other characters in Battleborn, the 10 that they've released so far, he looks very different from the rest. Even the other melee characters all look very different. And supposedly coming up at Gamescom shortly here, we're going to see 4 more Battleborn released. So that sounds pretty awesome as well. So we'll have 14 to look at shortly. And hopefully we get some other cool news about it. So I hope you're excited about this game like me. If you haven't seen much about it, there's a lot of videos out there since E3. They showed a lot of characters. It was really just the same mission over and over again, but the information's starting to come out. I think this website is really nice, and seeing these full skill trees is pretty awesome. So check it out. Let me know what you think, and leave some things in the comments. If you haven't subscribed already, please do that. Please share these videos as well. And I thank you for watching, and I'll see you later with some more Borderlands 2, Battleborn, Borderlands pre-sequel, and all this content. Thanks for watching. Bye.